Good afternoon and welcome to a very special edition of the J. Duke Show. Coming to us live from Belgium, we have American superstar Laura Kraut joining the show. So we're doing an early edition. Thank you so much to Horse Network for putting this all together. Never done an afternoon show, so I'm very excited to do it. And in a moment, we're going to meet American superstar Laura Kraut, who's coming to us from Stal Hendricks in Belgium, who we're all familiar with as buyers of horses here in America. I want to thank Horse Network. We have special producer on Liz Hancock is on today, producing the show, as my regular producer is flying back from T-Bird. She's on a plane right now. So I want to say shout out to Carly and thanks for getting all this set up for us. And thanks to Liz for making this all happen today. Today we have a special sponsors, Vitalize by Biozyme. They are come on as our presenting sponsors and very, very excited to have them on the team. They also support Laura Kraut. And so they're there. It's a real team effort today for everyone bringing the show to you. Ulcers. It's a huge issue with horses. It's talked about with the race horses. About 90% of the horses have it. In show jumping horses, they figure 60 to 90% of the horses have ulcers. That's obviously something you don't want the horses to have. So there are many good products out there for that, but Vitalize by Biozyme, they've got some great, great stuff that it really helps the horses and really brings out the very best in their performance. It has a muco-adhesive effect that lines the stomach tissue and is designed to both repair and maintain the integrity of the stomach lining. Vitalize Equine Recovery Gel can help your horse stay at the top of its game by giving a boost to both its digestive and immune system. You know, proper feed for the horses and the immune system with all the travel and competing they're doing is such a key thing. Biozyme maintains a staff of technical professionals that work with producers to determine the nutritional content of their forages and develop feeding programs specifically for you and your horse. So check them out. I want to thank Stable Secretary. Save time, stress, and money with Stable Secretary. Keep equine business records and health records organized in one comprehensive system. Use Stable Secretary to manage your anytime and anywhere with your smartphone, iPad, tablet, or computer. And also, Brenda Mueller from Equestrians is here. She really wanted to be on the show with Laura Kraut. I mean, who doesn't, of course. And so happy to have her with us again. Take your equestrian business to the next level with Brenda Mueller, Marketing for Equestrians, offering full-service marketing for equestrian professionals and products. Proud to be a sponsor of the J. Duke Show. Visit our website at marketingforequestrians.com. So I'm going to bring our guest on, superstar Laura Kraut. Like I said, she's joining us live from Belgium, from the office of Stal Hendricks, one of the top sales barns. Laura is currently ranked in the top 50 in the Longines World Rankings. She was on the gold medal winning team at the 2012 Beijing Olympics and the gold medal team at the 2018 World Equestrian Games in Tryon, North Carolina. And it's such a pleasure to have Laura on the show. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me. I've been really looking forward to this.
Great, great. And I want to tell our viewers, we're going to also, for today's episode, we are going to take questions. So if anyone has questions for Laura, please send them in and we will do our best to get to them at some point during the show. So Laura, recently you had a fall. And as we all know, with show jumping, falls do happen occasionally. But yours was fairly serious and your recovery time is amazing. And we talked about doing this show a couple weeks ago and you went a couple weeks to recover and you look fantastic. So well done on your recovery. Let's talk about what happened recently to you in the ring.
Well, yeah, I mean, as you said, it happens with what we do as part of our sport. I was jumping a horse in Grand Prix qualifier. I was 17th to go in the class and there was I think it was fence 9 was a 2-stride. It was a triple bar going in, vertical out. And
not sure if we've lost contact from Belgium with Laura here or not. Or maybe
yeah, I think we're back now.
Okay, let's try that again. Sorry, so you triple bar into a 2-stride.
Triple bar into a 2-stride. Anyhow, yeah, okay, a mistake was made and the 2-stride was too short. So I think 2 or 3 horses before I went had put 1. And yeah, the mare I was on, she's actually very handy about waiting. And I didn't really think it was going to be that big of an issue. So when I jumped in, she jumped well. I landed, I sat up, I took a hold of her, said, whoa. And she just took 1 and that's all she saw and she left. So I think, normally she would listen and wait, but I think the distance was definitely, it was unclear to her. And it was clear that she thought it was a 1. So she left the ground. She just got tangled up. She didn't go down, thankfully. But unfortunately, I went up her neck. I think because I was so far behind her, I must have gotten tossed up sort of around the top of her head area. I tried to grab her on her neck, and then my last thought was, this is not going to work. And I think I got knocked out. I don't know. It must have been either when I hit the ground or I don't know, because I don't remember any of it. I had no pain, no problem. For me personally, I think for everyone watching, it was very, very disturbing. Yes. Because she ended up stepping on my face, on my head, not intentionally, but I actually fell right, in her way. So I ended up having a concussion with a little bit of a brain bleed and a broken nose. And I had stitches on my lip, and I was cut all over and bruised all over. But luckily, it's all doing a lot better. And so I'm back.
Wow, that is quite. And then after that, after your fall, then they changed the course, they changed the combination. And how does that work in FEI competition when there is a change as far as scoring goes?
I mean, well, I'd never heard of that, and I didn't know it until the next day when I was in the hospital. But apparently, I guess they had to take the ranking away, so it couldn't be a ranking. I'm not really 100% positive. Also, they ended up, because it was the qualifier for the Grand Prix, they made the Grand Prix just open. So then there was no more qualifying. I can't remember. I want to say there was probably 80 riders, and they were only going to have 60 for the Grand Prix. So, or maybe there were, I don't know, maybe there were 90. But anyhow, they ended up opening it up to everyone because of changing it. But truly, it was a good thing to do. I mean, I think, if I'd been the only one, that would be one thing, but it was clearly going to be a problem. And so I think that it was great of them to do it and keep everybody safe.
I'm a course designer, and, we are always wary of the 2 strides, especially in jump off situations. And because really the worst falls always happen with horses doing 1 and the 2. That's always the worst fall for riders. Sounds like triple bar 2 stride, and if the distance was a little short, certainly that is an easy way for the horses to misread it. Do you think that is a test that maybe we won't see? I mean, you very rarely see it as it is. Do you think that's a fair test to the horse?
Well, I think it's a fine test when the distance is correct. And I think it was an obvious oversight on whoever was in charge, whether, again, sure. I think the course designer, who I won't name, is a very, very, very reputable person. He's built thousands of courses for decades. And it just was a mistake. I think, sometimes, particularly at a show like this, where there were hundreds of horses and there was a rush to get it going and get everybody going, maybe they just missed it. But sure. I think, it's a good test if it had been, 5 feet longer. Then, the horses would have put 2.
Yes.
And there wouldn't have been, then the test is obviously either the back rail, the triple bar, or, getting a balance to come out in the 2. So I don't have a problem. In fact, I love triple bars going into combinations. That's always been my favorite kind of combination. And, not so much now.
Not as much now. So, many people, when they have a fall, and it can be minor falls, riding the next time and getting back on and competing, there's challenges to that. You competed today, was your first day back in the ring. And so, that's a pretty quick turnaround from a fall like that. Do you have some advice to the viewers out there on how you mentally approach, that first time back in the ring?
I guess what I would say, what I normally tell my students, I've been sort of fortunate throughout my career that, I must have fallen off so much when I was young. It just didn't bother me so much. But what I say to my students is, if you can understand why it happened, then I think that takes the fear out of it. You know, I think, okay, when there's just some unexplainable fall, that is a little scary sometimes, you know, but when you can explain it, whether it's what happened to me or whether you make a riding error, or whatever, the horse stumbles, anything, the millions of things that can go wrong, I feel like if you can understand why it happened, that should take the fear away from it. And then you just have to go, you know, just to say, get back on it. And I try not to think about, you know, I just try not to think about it. There was a lot of people here because this is where it happened in Peelbergen. So a lot of people this morning, you know, they look like they'd seen a ghost. They're like, what are you, you know, can't believe you're here. But once I got in the ring, I felt fine. So
yeah, of course,
good to go.
Of course, and that is, again, that's great advice. Because there's, you know, many amateurs especially that do struggle with overcoming that sort of situation. Concussions. You know, you had a concussion. What was the protocol for you to go through? Concussions are a big topic for me. You know, I had some serious concussions. I've been very active as far as helping with the safety for the riders and making it more and more safe for the riders through the FEI and through the USEF. I still think there's more that could be done. What was your recent experience with suffering a concussion as far as the FEI protocol?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think there was any real FEI protocol. I think I followed my own. Mark Hart, who is the doctor, he was our team doctor in Rio, and now he is a part of the FEI. So he called me, and he was great. I mean, he's a fantastic man. Basically, what they're going to implement is this baseline test. You know, so when you're not concussed, you take the test, then they have the basis for where you are when you're normal. And then hopefully in the future, then if you have a concussion, I think then you have to get checked out, retake this test. And if you flunk the test, then you're not allowed to go back to competing. Because I'm based in England, and the jockeys there, the steeplechase jockeys, they have a 21-day rule. If they have a concussion, they aren't allowed to ride again for 21 days.
Okay.
So I thought, well, that is a crazy dangerous sport. So I figure if I adhere to the 21 days, I feel like I've done my bit. So that's what I did. I waited 21 days. Well, actually more than that. It's probably been 24 or 5 now. And I feel fine. I'm just so grateful for, and I'm going to plug them, Charles Owen. That helmet was just unbelievable. And we sent it to them, and it has a hole from the stud. I mean, straight. Wow. It was incredible how it took the impact of her foot with the studs and the whole thing. And they've done a study and written a report, which they won't let me read. But anyhow, I think that they are one of the best. They are one of the, if not the most safe helmet out there. And I'm very thankful. I always wear them. So
good. Yeah. Well, definitely helmet safety. I mean, growing up, I mean, we would ride all the time without helmets, and I always jumped with a helmet, almost, except we were on a trail and there was a tree, then I wouldn't. But you know, helmet safety now is such an important thing. And obviously, thankfully, you were wearing a great helmet. That otherwise, obviously, that would have been very, very serious injury to you. That's difficult to hear about the FEI lack of protocol. What you're saying there with the baseline testing, I wrote about that in an article in 2016 to advocate that every equestrian on the showgrounds at all levels should have a baseline test. And because it takes it's just a few minutes. Like it's very simple time wise. And you know, it's great. Hopefully it is happening, and it is good to hear that is starting to get there. I don't know why equestrian sports needs to be so far behind the other sports in the world, but maybe it'll get there.
I don't either. I definitely, I was sort of surprised by all of it. I know eventing has protocols. but I don't think, as far as I can tell, show jumping didn't. So
yeah, and it's
I use my own.
Certain shows are doing it, but that's amazing in 2020 that it's still a little bit fend for yourself, and that old school mentality. So hopefully, even what happened to you will be another step towards making it safer for all riders in the future. Let's talk about Katie Perdunt, top rider and trainer. She had a huge influence on your career. How did that start, and what was some of the most important things she taught you about horsemanship?
Well, it started in 2000. I mean, obviously I grew up, idolizing her, watching her ride, the whole thing. She was amazing. She was one of those people, I wasn't worthy of. And in the year 2000, I had a mare by the name of Liberty, who was 9 years old. I'd gotten her as a 7-year-old. Then I promptly got pregnant, went, a year. So she really missed a lot of her 8-year-old year in development. So in 2000, she's 9, and I just thought, oh, well, I'll jump the Olympic trials just for experience for the mare. I had no thoughts of going to the Olympic Games, no chance, like nothing. And I was in Florida, and she came to me out of the blue. I mean, we were always friendly with each other, but not friends. She said, listen, I think you have an unbelievable horse, and I think that you need to get mileage with her. And I'm going to take a few students to Europe. I think you should come. And I think you could go to the Olympic Games with this horse. And,
wow.
Of course, yeah, I mean, I thought this is crazy. There's no way, anyhow, I didn't think I could afford it. And she was unbelievable in helping me to, afford going. And anyhow, I went to Le Bowl and Rome and another show in France, which was the first time I'd ever done something like that, apart from when I'd made the Barcelona Olympic team. So it was just an incredible experience to have her knowledge. And when I went, I thought to myself, because I'd been a professional for a long time, I think it was 34, 35 years old. I thought, I'm going to go and I'm going to do everything she tells me. And I'm not going to question one thing. So I'm going to take advantage of this. And even if I am not sure, or I don't 100% agree, I'm going to do it and see, learn from it. Anyhow, I mean, it was amazing. And I ended up leading rider in Rome. I mean, it was just a dream come true. And then I came back and I won the first Olympic trials, which were in Gladstone. And then we went out to California, and I ended up making the team, and I ended up going to Sydney. So, I mean, she just was, she's just this incredible force of nature. Just the way she gives you confidence, and without being overdone, she's just, I don't know. I always tell people, ask me who I think the best person is, and it's always her. I mean, she's just, I think, because she's one of the few riders that had all the feel and then all of the ability, and she can actually teach it as well, which is not always that easy to do.
It's not. There's a big difference, and this is the case in all sports, between doing it and teaching it. And it is rare to have people that can do both. And there's no question. I've watched a lot of her coaching in the warm-up rings and at the side of the ring, and she's just on everything. And again, it's her confidence. She's tough, but she's just has this belief and this positivity to her as well. And she really seems to get the very best out of every rider. And such a great horse person, just, and those horses just jump so well for all of her students and obviously for her as a rider as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I can't say enough about her. I mean, she's just, I look forward to seeing her, because then I always try to get some ideas, and she's just, yeah, she's fantastic.
That's great to see. Beijing. So we'll talk about that. And I mean, I'm so happy for you how that went. Unfortunately, your gold medal came at the cost of Canada getting the silver medal. So I love that you did it, but not really do. But still, let's talk.
I thought you might bring that up.
But let's talk about your Beijing experience. Just such an amazing performance. It was such an amazing Olympics. That one, I think, as far as equestrian, it was definitely it stands out as one of the few great moments, like the 1984 Los Angeles Games. It was that sort of a moment. Tell us about how it went for you over there and what it was like to put in that clean round in that Nations Cup.
Well, I mean, I think, I was riding Cedric, who was, well, and still will be the best horse I've ever had, but he was very unpredictable, to say the least. So all the way leading up to even doing through the trials and everything, I kept thinking, I don't think I should be this person doing this, because he was afraid of walls and he was afraid of water. He was afraid of a lot of things. And I just wasn't, I wasn't all that comfortable with the, thinking, oh my God, our whole country is going to depend on me to pull this through.
Right.
But George Morris was always, from the beginning, absolutely dead set that the horse he called him a freak. And he said, you have to do this. So when I got there, I mean, I was nervous, because obviously there was every crazy looking wall that the Chinese could build. He handled it all so beautifully. It was helpful to have BZ with Authentic and McLean with Sapphire. Having two teammates like that, and then Will Simpson on his horse, who, Will was like the happiest guy in the world. Like, he was full of confidence. So between the three of them, I felt like, okay, well, if I let them down, at least I got those three to, take over. Anyhow, for the last round, I knew I needed to jump a clear, because Canada was obviously putting a lot of pressure on us. And I mean, that horse sort of knew when it was important, and he didn't put a foot wrong. And I mean, the rest was history. The funny part about it was, though, I thought actually when I jumped clear, I'd done my own computing, which was scary. And I thought we'd won. I thought it was a done deal. Like, I didn't think that we could end up in a tie. And so I was hanging out with the owner, Peter Wetherill, and we were sitting in the owner's tent that they had. And he'd offered to get me a beer, which I don't drink beer, but I said, sure, send me a beer, And anyways, all of a sudden I'm sitting there and I start to actually start thinking, I'm like, actually, if I think it was Ian jumps clear and BZ doesn't jump clear, I leapt up from the table and went running out. And anyways, good thing I figured it out. But anyways, yeah, it was a nail biting thing to go into a jump off like that, but I made it really extra special.
Yeah, so did you actually have a sip of the beer?
I did. I did. It was, I did. Thankfully, I don't drink beer, but he was so excited. That was all you could get. I think it was really funny. They didn't have a VIP or anything like that. So I think they were serving beer and hot dogs. Yeah. And that was it. So I passed on the hot dog, had a sip of the beer, and then I thankfully did not drink it. But anyhow, yeah, that was what happened.
That's a fantastic story. I love that one. And how did it compare to competing in front of your home crowd in Tryon, winning the gold medal at the World Equestrian Games there? Obviously a very different scenario. The World Equestrian Games had some issues that year. It got moved to Tryon. They hastily did the best they could and did a pretty good job of putting together such a major event. How was it riding there in front of your home crowd, and putting in that clear for the team gold there?
Well, I mean, yeah, that was well, okay. The gold medal in Beijing was, that for me was the biggest thing, just because, for the first time to go and do something like that, that was really cool. Tryon was amazing because I grew up in Atlanta, which is very close to Tryon. And actually my very first ever A-rated horse show was in Tryon in 1976.
Okay.
So I had, I'd spent all my youth showing around in Blowing Rock and Aiken and all the shows in that area. So a lot of people that I hadn't seen in decades were all there, and so it was really exciting. And again, to have teammates like I had with horses, outstanding horses, it gives you such a positive, confident feeling to go in and do your best. And the Mara ceremony, she just was outstanding. She is outstanding. I mean, I absolutely adore her. So it was great. It was great fun. And I think, those two moments for me, I love competing on teams anyways. I like, don't get me wrong, I like to win individual, but the team thing is really fun because I feel like through the years we've had some great people. With, the list is endless, and I just really like the idea of it. So it was fun, and my mother was there, so that was really good. She hadn't been in Beijing, so this was really good for her to see, and it was really fun.
Right. Yeah. No, to have your family there, to have old friends there, and to be competing in front of truly your home crowd, that's a really amazing moment. And congratulations on that. And you do seem to be a person that does embrace that team concept and that team mentality. And it is different. There's no question when you're riding for the team, there's a different mentality than when you're riding individually. There's certainly I'm going to say there's more pressure, but it's definitely a certain different type of pressure. And
yeah, definitely.
Some people rise up to that and some people do not. And obviously in your career, that's something that you really, really, really relish. And the American team has profited from you, from your experience with that. If anyone has any questions, like I said, at the end of the show, we'll get to that regarding, her experience winning in Beijing and Tryon. Tokyo did not happen this year. And I talked to McLean about this a couple months ago on the J Duke show and how that was, how he's dealt with that. And he felt actually it was quite a positive for the Americans because there were some older horses and he thought they could get really healthy and fresh for Tokyo 2021. What are your thoughts? And how did you deal with the shutdown this year? And what do you think, as far as for you personally next year to prepare?
Well, obviously it was a disappointment. That everything happened so quickly. I was in Spain. I'd been in Wellington and then I had a group of horses in Spain and I'm sure, as you know, Spain and Italy were sort of the first two big European countries to really just completely lock down. But I was talking about this the other day. We still thought it was going to be like 2 or 3 weeks and then we'd be right back at it. We didn't really realize how horribly serious this was. I think when it really hit home to me was when they canceled Aachen. I thought, this is serious. Like this is it. And that was probably the only day that I let myself get down. Because otherwise, I feel like we're fortunate that we still have our horses. We still can do what we're doing basically. And yeah, if showing is put on hold for a year, well, so be it. Mm-hmm. So as
Go ahead.
I think that there's quite a few horses. It keeps flipping off. There's some horses that probably could use the year. I hope for myself, I intend to be in there trying. I've got some nice horses. Hopefully Ceremony and Fleurette. So I've got a few good tries for it next year and we'll see what happens.
How has it been now you're back showing, obviously, competing in Europe with the protocols, with the COVID-19 at the horse shows? There's been a lot of talk on social media about what it's been like in America. Here in Canada, we just recently have started showing again. I just got back from 2 weeks and the protocols were pretty good. And I have to say, I think we all felt quite safe. What's it like at the shows in Europe?
Well, the first shows I did were in Saint-Tropez, Grimo, and there was none. Like, you would never know that there was coronavirus, period. Like, even in the streets, everything, there was no masks, there was no anything. It was just normal. And it was really strange. Like, I have to say it was strange, because I kept thinking, why are we not, wearing masks? Why are we not washing our hands constantly? But there was no, where in the south of France, there was no coronavirus. I think they said they had 40 cases in all of the south of France or something. So I spent a month there of complete normalcy. Then I went to Belgium for Centaur, and there, then they were wanting masks, but they weren't enforcing it. And then I went to Pilbergen, where I had the accident, but they were a little bit more that you had to wear rubber gloves in the warm-up if you were setting fences. I would say the protocol was maybe a little bit stronger, but still not strong. And as I'm sitting here today in Holland, you wouldn't see a mask. I haven't seen a mask in days. It's just totally normal. Yeah. Now, England is a different story. Where I live England all over, it's right from the beginning, it was masks, lockdown complete, like only grocery stores and pharmacies and hospitals were open, and that was it. So I did 2.5 months of that, where I didn't leave the farm. I left the farm 3 times to go to the grocery store, and that was it. So I definitely did the whole lockdown thing, but it's interesting, the difference. Now I'm going to Spain in a few weeks for the Sunshine Tour, and get a notice that you will be required to wear masks when not riding.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay, so they're doing a little bit, but it's not it doesn't sound like it's very safe. Yeah, that's a little bit discouraging, and a little bit, I think that's what's happened in everywhere, in all aspects of life. It's not everyone getting on the same page and working towards the same goal, and that's probably why we're going to be dealing with this for quite a while. But it's just what it is, and I do support the horse shows that are really making those efforts, and it's great to be able to show. And if it requires putting a mask on, certainly it's not very comfortable to wear one all day in the heat, but if that's what it takes so we can horse show, I'm happy to do it.
I know, absolutely. And I was fully prepared. I have masks everywhere. I bought them, and I personally use them to go into grocery stores and any shops. But actually, I don't do a lot. I'm mainly in my truck. I stay in the truck. I show. When you're at the show, you're pretty socially distanced most of the time, anyways, and that's it. So I tried to sort of keep my own little bubble around me.
Good. Well, talking about health and safety, your horses, you're a great horse person. Your horses last a very long time. They're in the ring year after year after year, the same horses. So obviously your program and your care is top notch of that. I want to talk about the Vitalize products that you use. Horses, it's so important to keep their health, their inner health working for them. It's not just soundness anymore. It's the whole package, especially to be competing, at that 3-star, 4-star, 5-star level. Why do you use Vitalize? How is that helping you and your horses?
Well, what I use is a product that they make, which is called Allemande, and it's basically for gut health is essentially what it is. But it's incredible for basically helping with horses that might have ulcers or would be prone to ulcers. It like, you can take a horse that looks maybe a little poor or a little run down, or maybe they haven't traveled well, and you put them on Aliment, and literally in days they start to look like a different horse. And it's funny because I'm not big into pushing products that I don't believe in. And we started using this, I think it was 2 years ago. And, you know, we do a lot of traveling with the horses. We're around Europe. So they do, you know, unlike in America where they have 5-week circuits and 6-week, you know, you go somewhere, you stay. Here, you know, you're going somewhere all the time. So they're really trucking a lot. And it's amazing how I've been able to keep the horses looking like they don't do anything, don't travel at all. And, you know, like we've cut down, we don't have to use a lot of Gastrogard anymore. I mean, I think it's a great product for a horse that has acute ulcers, but this has really helped with that. And just overall, we don't feed. I was talking about this today with my groom. I mean, we don't feed nearly the amounts that a lot of people do, and the horses look really healthy. So just all the way around, I just can't say enough good things, and it's not that expensive for what it does for them.
Nice. That's great to hear. And obviously you're seeing those results there. So for people that are interested, check it out. You've competed against the best in the world for several years now. You've ridden in, you know, every high pressure situation there is out there. Who do you think is the best rider of all time? And I know you could say 20 names for sure, but I'm going to put you on the spot. If there's one person you wanted, say, on your Nations Cup team, if there was one person you didn't want to be facing in the jump off in a solo competition, who is it?
Nick Skelton. when I got the alert that this was going to be a question, I was thinking about it, and actually the way you just phrased it, actually definitely Nick, but otherwise I'd be in trouble if I didn't say him. But you're right. I mean, listen, I think he's been amazing. His career was incredible, and he's his own unique way of riding, which also separated him. I was also going to say Rodney Jenkins, because similar in the way they were as riders. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I mean, I could say McLean, Beasy, Kent. I could go on and on. There's so many phenomenal riders. So, but yeah, I'll stick with Nick.
And so if I asked you about the best horse of all time, now are you going to go Big Star?
Well, absolutely. Because I picked him out. I found him.
Oh, and, you found him. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So I know Alan Waldman had the horse. Is that where you first saw him?
And he came to me for me to buy him. And unfortunately, I'd seen him, and the horse was incredible as a 5-year-old, and I didn't have anyone who had the budget, because he wasn't. In today's world, he probably wasn't crazy expensive, but he was expensive enough. And so I knew Nick had some owners that would buy a good horse for him, and so I asked Alan. I said, "Listen, I can't have him, but would you consider having Nick Skelton have him?" And so he said, yeah. So I organized it all. I had to drive his owners and them there. And I kept thinking, oh, this is going to be, if this horse isn't good, I'm going to, kill myself. But okay, the horse was just, literally and honestly, I can tell you it's the best horse I've ever seen and probably ever will. I mean.
And what was it? Okay. So when you went to try him, was he 6, 7?
5.
5. He was 5. Okay, because I remember seeing him as a 5-year-old. So when you tried him, first impressions, what was your, when the first 5 minutes when you're trying that horse? What tell me and the viewers what that was like.
Well, I mean, he rode him, I didn't, but just watching. I mean, first of all, the canter was. I mean, it's more like you've never seen, and I did ride him quite a bit at home, and the canter, I mean, like, you just have never felt. I mean, Cedric had an amazing canter, but not the power. Like, this horse just it was like a rocket ship. I mean, just at the slow canter. So for me, it was that, and then just the way he exploded off the ground. And he could, he was like a cat. You could get him close, and he could shrink away from the jump, and then still jump 12 feet wide if he needed to. And he never, I mean, I think he had one fence in his whole career at home. one fence down, from 5 until whatever age he was, 14
Wow.
or whatever. The horse just didn't. I mean, Nick has some great stories, but I mean, even before the Olympics, he was like, I need to get a rub. I should get a rub. I should get a rub. No chance. He could not get a rub with the horse. Like, he just was.
Wow.
He was just that good.
Just that sort of everything. I mean, truly the whole package, and a superstar. And when it comes to, I mean, again, you could never say who's the greatest horse of all time, but if there was a top 10, everyone has that horse in their top 10. No question about that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and because I lived with him, that's that's why I would. When you said earlier, I was like, yeah, I know which one it is. So.
That's fantastic. So we do have a question for you, and it's rare, okay, we have superstar Laura Kraut on, so we have to pick her brain a little bit on her training, because these opportunities do not come along very often. Katie McClellan says, what would your favorite exercise be to improve a horse's jump technique when they were fairly green? So fairly green, I'm guessing maybe 5-year-old, 6-year-old type of thing is what we're talking about here. What do you have anything to share with Katie? I
think what I like to do a lot with young horses is I like to do trot in gymnastics. So with a trot pole, over a cross rail or a small vertical. And then, vary it with a one stride to a vertical, and then maybe a one stride to an oxer, or sort of add as you go. And I like to include landing rails. It depends on how really green the horse is. You maybe have to do that slowly, but just to get them to learn sort of the takeoff and landing and learn to use their arc properly. And I also will, depending again on how green they are, if there's crooked, I like to do just a nice shoot, of poles, just to make sure that they stay straight, because straightness is very, very important. But yeah, like just something simple like that. But I do like the takeoff and landing rails for the horses, just to teach them, sort of the right jumping technique. The right
bascule, getting that proper bascule and just conforming them into getting the best out of their body they can with that arc and such. I'm gonna second that. I'm gonna say that that was perfect. And certainly the small gymnastics and such are so important for young horses. I'd highly recommend that to be a key part of everybody's training program out there for them. You don't need to go canter a bunch of courses and big jumps. Just set them up and show them the proper technique. So that's a great question. One more, I think it's about your travel plans, and I'm having trouble making plans for next week, so I'm not sure how we're going to do this. It is so I found the hardest thing about 2020 is trying to make plans, because things just change all the time, and I literally sometimes just feel frozen as far as, okay, what do we do next? But Marketing for Equestrians, a company I love, and Brenda Mueller, thank you so much for joining us and supporting the show.
Love Brenda.
Oh yeah, she's the best. She love her too. Will you be coming to Florida this winter amidst the COVID with the restrictions and policies, or will you stay in Europe?
Like you were saying, for as much planning as we can do, I definitely think I'll probably come to Florida. In fact, I'll probably come earlier than normal, because usually I stay and do the indoors here and finish at Olympia, which is always at Christmas time, and then come over after Christmas. But most of all the indoors are canceled that are over here. I think all the World Cup qualifiers, everything is finished. So I probably will come to Florida. I don't know, maybe with 10 or 12 horses and leave the rest here and see how it goes. At least we'll be in good weather versus in England. But yeah, my son was just over and he flew back, and upon arrival had a tested negative. So probably that's what I would do, is just plan to go back and take the test and hope we're all negative and return to normal in Florida.
Yes. Well, I think we're all hoping that you're there. We're all hoping that things get back to some sense of normalcy as soon as possible, and everyone stays safe and healthy. That's obviously the most important thing for riders as well as the horse, of course. I want to thank Vitalize by Biozyme, stable secretary and marketing for Equestrians. Thank you so much for coming on the show and having Laura Kraut on the J. Duke Show and having this special edition, joining us from Belgium on your first day back competing again. It's really, really a treat. And thank you so much. Hope to have you again on very soon.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, this was really, that's a great thing that you're doing. It's really nice. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. And I want to thank Horse Network. I'm so happy to be on Horse Network. All of you are just amazing at that place. And, you know, all the work you put into making this happen is I'm so grateful. And I can't wait. Next week, we have, who do we have on? Daisy Farish and Sam Walker. So Sam Walker is a top Canadian young star. Daisy Farish is a top young American star. So we're going to have a little bit of battle of the border next week. And both of them are great riders and great people. So I cannot wait to get to that. Upcoming shows, Nelson Pessoa is coming on the show. I can't even believe that's possible. So I can't wait for
today.
That. Did you? Oh, great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy, there you go.
Good.
So he is doing great. So I can't wait to have him on the show. Leslie Howard's coming on the show soon. So very excited about the future. Thank you to everybody. And as always, ride safely and respect the horse. Take care. Bye-bye.